Picture this. You wake tomorrow with no alarm clock, no commute, no employer over you, and yet money flows steadily, greater than before. Impossible? Not when you learn the one formula spirit always obeys. And in 9 months, you can prove it for yourself. In this message, I will give you the exact formula for commanding big money and stepping out of your 9 to 5 with ease. If you have worked and still seen little to show for it, if you have begged for opportunity but doors stayed shut, you will learn today why your words have been weak and how to make them almighty. By the end, you will hold a playbook that is faster than toil, surer than chance, and proven by Spirit's unfailing law. I know what it feels like to drag yourself into a job that drains you, to labor 9 hours and still see lack staring back at you, to dream of freedom but have no idea how to get there. The world tells you that years of saving and striving are the only path. But Spirit's law is different. The universe is not deaf, it is waiting for your command. And when you learn to decree your freedom, when you stop asking and start commanding, you will see how swiftly the money, the work, the doors rearrange themselves for you. This is not theory. I have watched it happen again and again, and now it can happen for you. Here is what we will uncover together. First, I will show you why ordinary work and ordinary prayers keep you chained to lack and how to break those habits forever. Then, I will give you the command, the proven formula that forces money to move and opens the way for your escape. Next, I will show you real cases where men and women shifted from jobs they hated to freedom and wealth in months, not years. And finally, I will teach you how to live in the rhythm of this playbook until prosperity becomes steady, not occasional, until freedom becomes your daily atmosphere. Stay with me, for in 9 months or less, you can walk out of your 9 to 5 and into the life of abundance, and it begins with the words you dare to speak today. Here's something most people completely miss, and it explains why they spend year after year chained to jobs they dislike, laboring harder yet never tasting freedom. The world has taught them that toil is the only path, that the paycheck is the source, that the employer is the master of their fate. They rise each morning, clock in, grind through the hours, and imagine that their labor alone will bring them prosperity. But if labor were the source, then surely the hardest workers would be the richest, and yet you and I both know this is not so. Look around: the man who bends his back in the heat, the woman who serves from dawn till night, the clerk who never misses a day. Many of these live with lack, while others who barely lift a hand enjoy wealth in plenty. What does this prove? That effort is not the source. Spirit is the source, and Spirit does not pay wages, it responds to command. You must understand. Work without vision is slavery. Work without decree is bondage. When you imagine that the job is your supply, you chain yourself to it, and you hand over the key of your freedom. But the truth is this: your employer is not your provider. Your paycheck is not your fountain. Your 9 to 5 is not your source. Spirit alone is your unfailing supply, and the universe waits upon your word, not upon your labor. If you remain blind to this, you will work until your body breaks and still wonder why wealth does not arrive. But when you awaken, when you speak, when you dare to decree, then the same job that once felt like a prison becomes only a stepping stone, a channel, a temporary shell, while Spirit prepares something greater. I recall the story of a man who worked tirelessly, giving all his strength to a business that never prospered. He was faithful, he was diligent, he was exhausted, and always he was short. He came to me and said, "Why do I labor so and yet see so little?" And I told him, "Because you trust in toil instead of truth. Speak the decree. Call upon Spirit as your unfailing supply. Release the belief that your labor is your master." He obeyed. He began to decree daily, "God is my unfailing supply." Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. And soon, channels opened, new opportunities appeared, and wealth came to him from directions he had never imagined. His work did not chain him, it became one of many channels through which supply flowed. His freedom came not from toil, but from the word he dared to speak. So I ask you, are you still treating your job as your source? Do you still bow to your paycheck as though it were the fountain of your life? If so, you will remain bound, no matter how many hours you give. But if you will speak the truth, if you will dare to say, "Spirit is my supply, Spirit is my employer, Spirit is my banker," then you will find channels opening that no boss, no wage, no 9 to 5 could ever provide. For work without spirit is slavery, but work with decree becomes freedom. And when you understand this, you will no longer see yourself as a wage earner, you will see yourself as an heir of abundance, commanding your supply into form. What I am about to show you may sting at first, but it will also set you free once you grasp it. Many people imagine their bondage comes only from the job itself, from the long hours, from the small wages, from the boss they dislike. But I tell you, their true chains are not their tasks, but their tongues. For every morning, at the table, on the way to work, in conversation with friends, they speak decrees that bind them tighter to the very slavery they despise. They say, I hate this job. They sigh, I never have enough. They mutter, I'll be stuck here forever. They joke, with my luck, I'll probably die at this desk. And each of these words, careless as they seem, is a decree. Each one is etched into the subconscious as law. The subconscious does not laugh. It does not shrug. It does not say he didn't mean it. No, it records, it engraves, it obeys. I have often used the picture of the phonograph plate. Every word spoken is like a needle carving a groove. Once the groove is made, it plays back again and again, and the life of the speaker becomes the music of his own words. Do you see the danger? If you carve complaint, complaint will play. If you carve fear, fear will play. If you carve lack, lack will play. And soon the melody of your life is nothing but the echo of your careless speech. You blame the job, you blame the world, but it was your own tongue that wrote the record. Weak words bring a weak harvest, and until you change your speech, no change of employer, no change of task, no change of wage will set you free. I remember the story of a man who came to me, weary and bitter, saying, Florence, I've worked 20 years and have nothing to show for it. As he spoke, I noticed how he described his work always with complaint, always with defeat, always with scorn. He said, my job is killing me, I'll never get ahead. I'm cursed with bad luck, I told him. Stop, do you not hear yourself? You are speaking curses into your own soil, and then you wonder why thorns grow. Every idle word you speak is a seed, and spirit is not mocked what you sow, you must reap. Change your speech, and your harvest will change. At first he resisted, for complaint had become his habit, but slowly he began to replace his words. Instead of, I'm cursed, he said, I am blessed. Instead of, I'll never get ahead, he said, wealth flows to me now. Instead of, this job is killing me, he said, this job is but a channel, and spirit is my true supply. And soon, to his astonishment, opportunities shifted, money came from new directions, his health improved, and his life began to sing a new melody. The job had not been the prison, it was his words that bound him. So, let me ask you plainly, what words are you speaking about your work? Are you carving grooves of complaint into your subconscious? Are you playing the record of bondage every morning with your own tongue? For no decree is neutral, each one is a seed, and the soil of your subconscious is fertile. If you sow hatred for your job, you will reap more of what you hate. If you sow fear of lack, you will reap lack in abundance. Weak words bring weak harvest, and until you change your speech, you will remain where you are. But if you dare to replace those words with decrees of truth, if you dare to cancel complaint and carve abundance instead, then the record will change, the music will change, and your harvest will come in strength and plenty. Therefore, watch your words, especially about your work. For your job is not your source, your boss is not your master, your paycheck is not your fountain. Spirit is your supply, and your tongue is the key. Weak words bind you, strong words free you. And when you learn this, you will never again let complaint escape your lips unchallenged, for you will know that each word is a seed and your harvest depends upon it. Here's a law most people never discover, and yet it is the very key to turning defeat into victory, lack into abundance, bondage into freedom. It is the law of substitution. For you see, every negative word, every idle complaint, every fearful decree that has gone out of your lips can be erased, overturned, and replaced by a stronger word of truth. The subconscious is exact, yes, but it is not cruel. It is faithful, yes, but it is also obedient to the highest command. If you have filled it with grooves of fear, you need not live in fear forever, for one word of truth, spoken with authority, is stronger than 10,000 words of complaint. The old record may be carved, but the new record can shatter it. The weeds may be thick, but the new seed can overtake them. And this is the mercy of spirit, that no past decree need bind you when the present word is spoken with faith. Do you not see how liberating this is? Many come to me trembling, saying, "Florence, I have spoken lack for years. I have cursed my work. I have joked about failure. I have sighed defeat every morning. Am I doomed by my own tongue?" And I answer, no. For though you have spoken wrongly, you may now speak rightly. Though you have decreed lack, you may now decree abundance. Though you have chained yourself, you may now command freedom. The law of substitution means that the new word erases the old. The decree of truth smashes the decree of error. The vibration of faith overwhelms the vibration of fear. You are not bound to yesterday's words if you dare to speak a new word today. Consider the case of the woman who often joked that she would one day live in a trunk. She repeated it in jest, not knowing the power of her words, and in time, she lost her comforts and did indeed live in a trunk. Now you may say, but that story proves the danger, not the hope. Yet here is the greater truth. Had she at any moment awakened and said, "That is not true, I erase it. I live in comfort, I live in beauty, I live in abundance," the tide would have turned, the record would have been broken, the harvest would have shifted. It is never too late to replace the wrong with the right. The law of substitution is always at hand. So here is what you must do. The moment you hear a complaint pass your lips, cancel it. Say aloud, "That is not true, I erase it," and immediately replace it with a decree of abundance. If you say, "I hate this job," stop and say, "That is not true. This job is only a channel, and spirit is my true supply." If you say, "I'll never get ahead," stop and say, "That is not true. Wealth flows to me now, quickly, under grace, in perfect ways." If you say, "I'm stuck here forever," stop and say, "That is not true. I am free, I am prosperous, I am walking out into my destiny." Do not let a single idle word stand. Substitute at once, and in time, the new decrees will grow stronger than the old, until the subconscious plays only the record of abundance. Do you see how powerful this is? You are not a prisoner of yesterday's speech, you hold the key today. You can substitute every wrong word with a right one, every false decree with a true one, every curse with a blessing. And as you practice this, you will find that your tongue grows disciplined, your speech grows clean, your words grow steady. At first you may catch yourself often, canceling and replacing, but soon the habit of truth will overtake the habit of complaint, and the old grooves will fade, and only the new song will remain. Therefore, live in the law of substitution. Do not fear your past words, for they have no power over the present decree. Speak boldly, cancel quickly, replace faithfully. And soon your life will play a new melody, one of freedom, one of abundance, one of prosperity without end. Here is the truth that shatters the prison walls of every weary worker who feels chained to the desk, bound to the clock, trapped in the endless cycle of wages barely enough to cover the week. You were not born to be a slave to wages. You were not created to bow to employers as though they held the key to your destiny. Spirit never designed you to barter away your hours for coins while your soul starves for freedom. No, you were born an heir, a son or daughter of the infinite, endowed with authority to command your good. Yet so many live in bondage because they believe the lie that wages are their source. They see the paycheck as the fountain, the employer as the master, the labor as the only bridge to survival. And in bowing to this lie, they chain themselves with their own fear. But listen to the decree of Spirit itself. "Concerning the work of my hands command ye me." Do you hear the authority in that? Spirit is not asking you to beg, to plead, to crawl for crumbs. Spirit is inviting you to command, to speak as one who knows that supply is already prepared, that wealth is already stored, that opportunity is already waiting. The cycle of wage slavery is broken not by rebellion, not by resentment, not by running from one job to another, but by command. For when you speak as heir instead of slave, when you decree as ruler instead of beggar, the channels of supply rearrange themselves, and wages are no longer your master but only one of many streams through which abundance flows. Consider the Easter rose story I once told. A woman desired lilies for Easter, but I instructed her to command roses instead, for they were the true symbol of her heart's desire. She obeyed, though it seemed foolish, and soon enough, roses were given to her, just as she had decreed. What is the lesson? That command shapes reality, that spirit responds to decree, that your good comes not by pleading but by daring to speak. If a woman can command roses into her hand, do you not see that you can command riches into your life? Do you not see that your words hold more authority than all the wages of men? So break the cycle today. Stop saying, I am chained to this job. Start saying, this job is only a channel, spirit is my source. Stop saying, I cannot live without this paycheck. Start saying, wealth flows to me from many directions quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. Stop saying, I must labor harder to earn more. Start saying, I command my supply now, and spirit brings it to me effortlessly. The chains of wage slavery are forged by words, and they are broken by words. The key is already in your mouth. Do not fear the world's systems, for they have no power over spirit's law. Do not fear the employer, for he is not your master. Do not fear the paycheck, for it is not your fountain. Speak boldly, decree freely, command daily. And you will see the cycle break, the channels open, the doors swing wide. You will find yourself no longer a slave to wages, but a ruler over wealth, no longer bound to labor, but free to express your true work, your perfect service, your perfect pay. For spirit does not ask you to crawl, it invites you to command. And when you command, the prison of wage slavery falls away, and you walk out into freedom with wealth at your side. Now that you see toil is not the source and wages are not your master, the question becomes what, then, is the true playbook that forces wealth to move, that opens the doors of freedom, that makes it possible for you to step out of your 9-to-5 in less than a year? And the answer is not complicated, not hidden in mystery, not locked away from the common man. It is simple, it is clear, it is exact. It is one decree, a command of truth, spoken with authority and held with faith, that rearranges circumstances, collapses delay, and brings large sums of money quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. The decree is this: God is my unfailing supply. Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. Say it aloud with me now. Do not whisper it in weakness, speak it with authority, for the power is not in thought alone, but in the vibration of the word. Thought impresses, yes, but voice decrees. When you speak this aloud, you set it vibrating in the unseen, and the universe must respond. Each word is a hammer blow that breaks down walls of lack. Each phrase is a seed planted in the subconscious. Each repetition deepens the groove until wealth must flow into your life. This is no trick, no superstition, no wishful thinking. It is law. Spoken word shapes reality, decree opens the storehouse, command sets supply in motion. I recall the story of a woman who came to me with only $2 in her purse. Fear told her it was not enough. Lack whispered that she was doomed. But I gave her this decree and told her to bless her purse, to call it a magic purse, and to affirm daily, God is my supply. Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. She obeyed, though at first it seemed foolish, even laughable. Yet within a short time her purse, once holding only $2, held 6,000. 6,000! The decree had done its work, the law had responded, and her lack was overturned. Do you see the principle? The amount does not matter, the starting point does not matter, the appearance does not matter. What matters is the decree. Speak it in faith, hold it in rhythm, protect it from idle words, and the money must come. For spirit is unfailing supply, and spirit is not bound by wages, not limited by employers, not slowed by time. Spirit moves at the speed of faith, and when you decree boldly, spirit rushes to obey. So I ask you, will you dare to speak it? Will you dare to replace complaint with command, fear with decree, weakness with authority? For this is the core command, the key of the playbook, the formula proven by law. Say it daily, say it with rhythm, say it until it becomes the melody of your soul. God is my unfailing supply. Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. Hold it, and the 9 months that once looked like years will collapse into days. For the universe is not deaf, it is waiting for your word. Here is the part that seems almost unbelievable to the world, yet it is written into the very rhythm of life itself, the 9-month formula. When I tell people they can walk free of their job in less than a year, many look at me with doubt, some even with scorn. For the world has taught them that freedom takes decades of saving, of striving, of climbing one weary rung at a time. But spirit has its own calendar, its own clock, and it is not the clock of men. 9 months is the rhythm of birth, the divine pattern of gestation, the season in which a seed planted must become a life delivered. You see it in nature, you see it in the womb, you see it in every cycle of creation. What is conceived in faith and carried in decree will be born in demonstration within 9 months. That is the law, and spirit cannot lie. When you begin to speak the core command, God is my unfailing supply, large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. You conceive a seed in the soil of the subconscious. Each morning decree is like the breath that feeds it. Each denial of fear is like the water that sustains it. Each word of thanksgiving is like the sun that warms it. And though at first nothing shows, though the field looks barren, the life is growing beneath the surface. Roots are forming, channels are opening, circumstances are rearranging. And as surely as the child is born at the appointed season, your freedom, your wealth, your new life will be born within the appointed cycle, 9 months or less. I have watched it again and again. Men and women who once thought they would die at their desks began to decree daily, faithfully, boldly. They carried the word through the months, like a mother carries the child, sometimes with discomfort, sometimes with fear to be denied, but always pressing forward, always holding to the decree. And then, almost suddenly, the doors swung open. Opportunities they had never considered appeared. Wealth rushed in through unexpected channels. The job they once feared to leave became unnecessary, and they walked free into a life of abundance. They looked back and said, "How did it happen so quickly?" And I answered, "Because spirit has no delay." 9 months is not a waiting, it is a rhythm, a guarantee, a divine pattern. You conceived it in faith, and you delivered it in truth. Think of it, beloved, 9 months from today, you could be sitting in freedom. No more alarm clocks, no more begging for raises, no more trading your soul for wages. 9 months from today, you could wake to the rhythm of your own command, living in abundance, working in joy, serving in freedom. But it begins now, with the seed you dare to plant today. If you refuse to speak, if you let fear choke the soil, if you cancel your decree with complaint, then the cycle never begins, the birth is never conceived, and you remain where you are. But if you speak boldly, if you guard your seed, if you carry it daily in decree, then 9 months is enough to change your life forever. So let me ask you plainly, will you plant today what you want to harvest tomorrow? Will you dare to begin the 9-month cycle now? For every day you delay is another day of bondage, but every decree you speak is a step toward freedom. The calendar of spirit is not harsh, it is merciful. It does not ask for decades, it asks only for faith and rhythm. 9 months of decree, 9 months of bold speech, 9 months of fearless trust, and you will walk free, as countless others have before you. The law is exact, the pattern is certain, and your freedom is already prepared. Speak it, hold it, carry it, and in 9 months or less, you will deliver the life you long for. Now that you know the decree and understand the rhythm of 9 months, I must give you a warning that cannot be ignored. For as powerful as the spoken word is to build, it is just as powerful to destroy. One careless sentence, one idle complaint, one sigh of fear can uproot the seed you planted, can scratch across the grooves of your decree, can cancel the harvest that was already in motion. People wonder why their demonstrations are slow, why their prayers seem unanswered, why their decrees feel powerless, and when I listen to their speech, I find the answer immediately. They speak abundance at breakfast and complain of lack at noon. They decree freedom in the morning and mutter defeat in the afternoon. They call forth wealth with their lips and then bind themselves again with words of fear. And spirit, being exact, obeys both, for the subconscious does not choose, and between them, it records every word and brings it to pass. This is why I say, you must guard the formula. Guard it as you would guard treasure, for it is treasure. Guard it as a watchman guards the gate, for your tongue is the gate of your life. Nothing must pass through that cancels your decree. If you slip, cancel at once. Speak aloud, that is not true, I erase it. Do not let the wrong word linger, for a wrong word, once engraved, begins its work. Replace it at once with truth, for truth spoken in authority is stronger than error spoken in fear. This is the mercy of the law. It allows correction, substitution, reversal. You are not doomed by a single slip, but you must be vigilant to catch it and replace it quickly. I have often spoken of the phonograph plate. Every word, every thought, every decree cuts a groove. And once the groove is made, the subconscious plays it back again and again. But do not despair, for a stronger word can break the groove, a bolder decree can shatter the record. The new plate can replace the old, and the melody of your life can change. If you say, "I'll never get out of this job," and then realize your mistake, speak immediately. That is not true. I am free now. Spirit opens the way in perfect ways. If you murmur, "Money never stays with me," cancel it at once. That is not true. Money flows to me, stays with me, multiplies for me, under grace, in perfect ways. Do you see? You must be vigilant, but you are never powerless. The power to correct, to substitute, to erase, is always in your mouth. I recall the case of a woman who spoke her decree faithfully but also lived in a circle of friends who constantly spoke of lack, of recession, of financial doom. She thought she was safe as long as she herself spoke truth, but she allowed their words to go unchallenged, and she listened in silence. Soon she found her own decree weakening, her faith trembling, her harvest delayed. I told her, "You must refuse to. Let those words enter your atmosphere. Cancel them, deny them, substitute truth." She began to answer boldly, "That is not true. My supply is secure. My wealth is here now." And once she guarded the formula, her demonstration came swiftly. The decree was always working, but it was her careless listening that had allowed the weeds of fear to choke it. So, I say to you, guard your decree. Protect it as a mother protects her child, as a farmer protects his seed. Do not allow idle words, fearful conversations, or careless jokes to trample it. Cancel instantly. Substitute boldly. Replace faithfully. For the decree is powerful, but it must be protected. One word of faith can move mountains, but one word of fear can rebuild them. The choice is always in your mouth. Guard the formula, and the 9-month rhythm will not fail. Here is the part that silences doubt and banishes the thought that all of this is mere imagination. The law of decree is not theory, it is demonstration. It is not wishful thinking, it is proof. Spirit's laws are as exact as mathematics, and once you learn the formula and apply it with faith, the results come not sometimes, not occasionally, not for a chosen few, but always, for all who dare to speak. I have seen it too many times to count. Again and again, men and women who were bound to toil, weary in spirit, fearful of lack, took up the decree and proved the playbook. And when they proved it, they could no longer deny it, for their lives became the testimony. I recall the case of Clara, who longed for a fan she saw in a shop window. She had no money for it, no way to buy it, but she understood the law. She did not say, "I cannot afford it." She did not sigh, "It will never be mine." "No," she said. "That fan belongs to me by divine right." She decreed it, she held it, she spoke it, and soon enough, the fan came into her hands as a gift. To the world it seemed chance, coincidence, good fortune. But Clara knew better. She had aligned with law, and law had obeyed. If the decree can bring a fan, can it not also bring a fortune? For the same law that moves a trinket moves millions. The scale changes nothing, the law is exact. Another woman came to me, burdened with debts and threatened with financial ruin. She could not see a way out. The numbers looked impossible, the deadlines immovable. Yet I gave her the decree. God is my unfailing supply. Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. She spoke it. Though her heart trembled, she held it, though appearances mocked her. And just as the deadline pressed hardest, the exact sum she needed was provided through channels she could never have planned. Was this chance? Was it luck? No, it was the playbook at work. She had spoken the law, and the law had responded. Think also of the countless souls who, weary of their jobs, bound to small wages, began to decree daily, "I have a perfect work in a perfect way. I give perfect service for perfect pay." Some found new positions open, others were released from bondage they feared to leave, still others discovered gifts within themselves that blossomed into businesses, ministries, expressions of joy that not only fed their souls but brought abundance to their lives. Each thought they were limited, each thought they were trapped, yet the decree proved otherwise. And in months, sometimes in weeks, their lives were transformed. The playbook had been applied, and the proof could not be denied. So I ask you, what more do you require to believe? Will you continue to say, perhaps it works for others, but not for me? Or will you take these testimonies as evidence that the law is no respecter of persons? The same spirit that brought Clara her fan, that delivered that woman from debt, that lifted countless souls from bondage, waits to prove itself in your life. The formula is not mine, it is divine. The law does not favor one and forsake another. It answers all who command in faith. Therefore, do not say, I will wait until I see proof before I decree. Say rather, I will decree, and proof will follow, for the law cannot fail. The playbook is proven, the formula exact, the testimonies abundant, and now the only demonstration lacking is your own. Speak it, hold it, guard it, and soon your life will be the next testimony written into the record of Spirit's unfailing supply. Now let me show you something that will lift your vision higher. For too often, people hear me speak of money, and they think the law works only in one narrow field, as though Spirit cared for their bank account and not for the rest of their lives. But this is not so. Spirit is wholeness, and the law of decree applies to every corner of existence. The playbook is bigger than wages, bigger than jobs, bigger than bills. It is not merely a key to riches, it is a key to freedom, to health, to love, to right work, to joy, to every good thing that belongs to you by divine right. If you make the mistake of thinking the decree is only for quitting your 9 to 5, you will miss the fullness of what Spirit has prepared. For the tongue that can command money can also command healing, harmony, and expression. The law makes no distinction. The same word that calls dollars calls deliverance. The same decree that shifts your wages shifts your world. I have given many the decree. I have a perfect work in a perfect way. I give perfect service for perfect pay. And when they spoke it, some found not only greater income but also joy in the labor itself, freedom in the expression, peace in their daily rhythm. Work that once drained them became channels of creativity. Opportunities that once seemed closed opened like doors on oiled hinges. And they realized that the decree had not only changed their pay, but had changed their very life's work. For true prosperity is not mere wealth, it is right expression, it is perfect service, it is alignment with Spirit's plan. Consider also the power of decree in love. A woman once prayed and prayed for a certain man, begging Spirit to give him to her. But I told her, do not beg for one who may not be yours by divine right. Speak instead, I am now linked with my right mate, by divine selection. What is mine cannot be withheld, what is not mine cannot satisfy. She obeyed, and soon another man entered her life, one with whom she found harmony and joy that far surpassed her former desire. Had she clung to her first choice, she would have missed the true blessing. The decree freed her, the decree guided her, the decree brought her into alignment with her rightful place. This is proof that the playbook extends beyond money. It governs every channel of good. And what of health? I have known those who were bound by sickness, their bodies weary, their spirits crushed. No medicine seemed to help, no treatment brought relief. Yet when they forgave, when they decreed, when they spoke boldly that health was theirs by divine right, healing came. A woman once suffered from a skin disease, bitter and afflicted, until she learned the law of love and spoke forgiveness. As she released resentment and decreed harmony, her skin cleared, her health returned, her life was renewed. The decree had worked, not for money but for health, because the law does not limit itself. Spirit is wholeness, and wholeness obeys command. Do you see then how vast this playbook is? It is not a formula only for escape from labor, though it will free you. It is not a formula only for money, though it will enrich you. It is the law of life itself, the spoken word shaping reality, the decree commanding spirit into form. If you confine it, you shrink it. If you limit it, you weaken it. But if you open it, if you speak it boldly over every area, you will see abundance not only in your purse, but in your body, in your relationships, in your work, in your joy. For the law is one, and it answers all. So, let me urge you, do not use this playbook only for the narrow task of quitting your job. Use it for the larger task of living your life. Command health, command love, command self-expression. Command joy, for spirit is infinite, and spirit waits only for your decree. And when you live this way, you will not merely escape your 9 to 5, you will escape every form of bondage and walk in freedom on every side. Here we come to the enemy that hides behind every delay, every cancelled decree, every harvest that fails to appear. It is not the job that binds you, nor the boss that controls you, nor the paycheck that limits you. It is fear. Fear is the great thief, the silent saboteur, the shadow twin of faith. And unless it is cast out, it will cancel your decrees before they bear fruit. It will choke the seed before it breaks the ground. It will make your tongue powerless though you speak the right words. You must understand what fear truly island fear is inverted faith. Fear is faith in evil, belief in lack, confidence in disaster. Faith says, my good is certain, my supply is secure. Fear says, my ruin is certain, my lack is secure. Do you not see? They are the same power, turned in opposite directions. Faith magnetizes good, fear magnetizes evil. Faith attracts wealth, fear attracts loss. Faith brings speed, fear brings delay. And many who think they are exercising faith are secretly feeding fear. Job himself declared it, the thing I feared has come upon me. He did not say the thing he worked for, the thing he prayed for, the thing he hoped for, he said the thing he feared. Fear drew it as surely as faith would have drawn blessing. And so it is with you. You decree boldly in the morning, God is my unfailing supply. Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. And yet, if you spend the afternoon trembling at unpaid bills, if you pace the night, imagining failure, if you let dread sit in your chest like a stone, then fear is the true decree, and fear will be answered. Spirit does not mock you, it obeys you, whether you speak faith or fear. The subconscious does not argue, it records, whether you plant good seed or bad. And life plays back exactly what you have impressed. Think of the disciples in the storm. The wind raged, the waves beat into the boat, and they cried out in terror, certain they would perish. Yet Christ slept calmly, and when they woke him, he did not commend their fear, he rebuked it. Why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? Then he rose, and with one command, peace, be still, the storm obeyed. Do you see the lesson? Fear was powerless to calm the sea, but one decree of faith silenced the storm. The disciples' fear had created chaos, but his word of authority brought peace. Fear is noise, faith is command. Fear trembles at appearances, faith speaks to appearances and overrules them. And unless you learn to silence fear with decree, you will find yourself tossed about by storms that need only a word to end. I recall also a man who lived in constant worry, tormented by thoughts of disaster that never came. Everywhere he went, he muttered fear, planted fear, rehearsed fear. His health weakened, his fortune slipped, his peace vanished. Then one day he saw a sign that read, "Why worry? It will probably never happen." Something broke within him. He laughed, he released, he denied fear its throne. And as he shifted his speech, as he refused to feed fear, his health returned, his fortune steadied, his life was renewed. What had happened? He had stopped giving faith to evil and begun to deny it. He had stopped decreeing fear and begun to decree peace. And immediately, the harvest shifted. So let me speak it to you plainly. Fear is not your friend. Fear is not caution. Fear is not wisdom. Fear is faith in the wrong direction, and it is as creative as faith itself. The only difference is in the fruit. Faith brings roses, fear brings thorns. Faith brings abundance, fear brings lack. Faith brings freedom, fear brings chains. And until you cast it out, you will speak decrees in the morning and cancel them by nightfall. Therefore, make no truce with fear. Do not tolerate its whispers. Do not excuse it as natural. Do not let it linger as a private thought. Expose it, rebuke it, deny it, erase it. Say aloud, "Fear, you are nothing. You cannot operate. You have no power." And replace it at once with faith. I walk in courage. My supply is sure. My freedom is certain. For the tongue must speak, and it will speak either fear or faith. Choose faith, and the playbook lives. Choose fear, and the playbook dies. The choice is always yours, and the law will answer whichever master you serve. Now that you see fear for what it is, the false prophet, the inverted faith, the enemy of decree, you must also see that you are never left helpless against it. Spirit does not expose an enemy without also providing the weapon that defeats it. And the weapons are not complicated, not hidden, not reserved for saints or mystics. They are in your mouth, in your heart, in your daily rhythm. They are denials, affirmations, thanksgiving, and love. With these, fear can be erased as chalk from a slate, as shadows from a room when the light is turned on. For fear is not substance, it is suggestion. It has no root in spirit, no foundation in law, no permanence in truth. It is an impostor, a shadow without form, and when you shine the word of authority upon it, it vanishes, leaving no trace. First, the tool of denial. Denial is not weakness, not shrinking from truth, but boldness to declare what is not so. When fear whispers, "You will fail," you answer, "That is not true," I erase it. When fear shouts, "You will lose everything," you answer, "That is not true, my supply is sure." When fear gnaws at you in silence, you speak aloud, "Fear, you are nothing, you cannot operate, you have no power," the spoken. Denial breaks the spell. It cuts the groove of fear before it is carved. It cancels the decree before it is etched. Do not argue with fear. Do not analyze it. Do not nurse it. Deny it. Erase it. Cast it out with the word of truth. Second, the tool of affirmation. Denial alone clears the ground, but affirmation plants the seed. Once you have said, "That is not true, I erase it," you must follow with, "This is the truth, I decree it." If fear says, "I am weak," deny it and affirm, "I walk in strength. I am guided. I am secure, I cannot fail." If fear says, "There is no money," deny it and affirm, "Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways." If fear says, "This job is all you have," deny it and affirm, "I have a perfect work in a perfect way. I give perfect service for perfect pay." The affirmation engraves the groove of truth, and the subconscious plays it back until your life sings the melody of faith. Third, the tool of thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is faith expressed, gratitude before the harvest, joy before the proof. Fear says, "Nothing is happening." Thanksgiving says, "It is already done." Fear looks at the empty purse and trembles. Thanksgiving looks at the empty purse and says, "I give thanks that it is filled now, under grace, in perfect ways." Fear stares at the unpaid bill and panics. Thanksgiving looks at the bill and says, "I give thanks that this is paid, that supply is mine, that spirit never fails." Thanksgiving magnetizes supply because it proves you already believe. It is the seal upon the decree, the fragrance that sweetens the soil, the sun that quickens the seed. Without thanksgiving, faith is hollow. With thanksgiving, faith is full. Fourth, and greatest of all, the tool of love. For fear and love cannot dwell together. Where love enters, fear flees. Love is the fire that dissolves shadows, the light that breaks the night, the rhythm that steadies the heart. When fear clutches you, speak of love. Say, "Divine love fills my heart, casts out fear, and draws to me all that belongs to me by right." Say, "I love my life, I love my work, I love my good," and love surrounds me on every side. As you speak of love, the grip of fear loosens, the weight of dread lifts, the atmosphere clears. For fear is nothing but love denied, and once love is affirmed, fear must vanish. I remember the man who lived under the torment of worry for years, always imagining disaster, always speaking defeat. His nerves broke, his health faltered, his spirit sank. Then one day, as I told you before, he saw the simple sign: why worry? It will probably never happen. Something within him laughed, and that laugh was love breaking through. He denied worry, affirmed life, gave thanks, and let love in. From that day, fear lost its grip, and his health and prosperity returned. It did not take medicine, it did not take effort, it took a shift of word, a change of decree, a surrender to love. So I tell you, when fear rises, and it will rise, do not bow to it. Deny it, erase it, cancel it, affirm truth, plant the seed, decree your supply, give thanks, seal your faith, prove your confidence. And above all, let love reign, for love is the perfect law, and love never fails. With these tools, fear cannot hold you, cannot rob you, cannot cancel your decree. The playbook remains alive, the formula stands unbroken, and your freedom marches nearer with each word you dare to speak. Now we come to a truth that separates those who dabble in the law from those who master it. For anyone can speak a decree when the purse is full, when the bills are paid, when the road is smooth. But the true test comes when appearances shout the opposite of your decree, when the purse is empty, when the bills pile high, when every door seems shut. It is here that most lose their harvest, because they bow to appearances. They tremble before shadows. They forget that appearances are not reality, but illusion. Spirit does not ask you to deny what your eyes see, but it does command you not to be ruled by it. For appearances are like the giants that frightened the Israelites when they stood on the edge of the promised land. The spies looked and said, "We are but grasshoppers in their sight," and because they believed the appearance, they lost the land that was already theirs by promise. Do you see the danger? The giants were shadows. The promise was truth. But fear of appearance robbed them of inheritance. So it is with you. You decree in the morning, "Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways." But then you look at the unpaid bill and say, "This is impossible." You see the balance of your account and sigh, "I have nothing." You check the clock of the world and whisper, "It is too late." And with every such word, you cancel your decree. You give faith to appearance. You worship the shadow. But Spirit says, "Judge not by appearances, but judge righteous judgment." What is righteous judgment? To look past the shadow into the substance, to see beyond the surface into the truth, to declare, "My supply is here now, though my eyes do not yet see it. My wealth is present, though my purse is empty. My freedom is secured, though the world calls me bound." This is faith not to tremble at the giant, but to decree the promise, not to bow to the storm, but to command, "Peace, be still." I have known many who failed at this point. They spoke well for days, even weeks, but when no proof appeared at once, they said, "It is not working." And in that moment, they canceled the whole harvest. They dug up the seed before it could sprout, they trampled the field before the fruit could grow. They bowed to appearances, and appearances ruled them. But I have also known those who held steady, who refused to speak defeat, who gave thanks even while the field looked barren. One woman faced a lawsuit of $3,000. She had no means to pay, and appearances mocked her decree. But she held steady, speaking daily, "God is my supply, under grace, in perfect ways." And just as the deadline came, the money appeared through a channel she could never have planned. Appearances said ruin, but truth said supply, and because she rose above appearances, she proved the law. So let me ask you, how do you respond when the giant appears, when the storm rises, when the purse looks empty? Do you tremble and mutter, "It is hopeless"? Or do you rise and decree, "I refuse to judge by appearances. My supply is secure, my good is certain. Spirit cannot fail"? For this is the dividing line between failure and demonstration. The decree itself is simple, but the discipline of holding it against appearances is the mark of mastery. And once you master this, you are no longer at the mercy of shadows. The world may rage, the bank may close, the boss may threaten, the market may fall, but you remain unshaken, for you know that appearances are lies and truth is eternal. Therefore, train your tongue for this very battle. When your eyes see lack, let your mouth decree abundance. When your ears hear fear, let your voice decree faith. When your heart trembles at delay, let your lips decree speed. Speak against appearances, not with them. Hold steady, refuse to bow, and you will find that appearances crumble before truth. The giant falls, the storm stills, the purse fills, the decree manifests, and in that moment you will know that appearances never ruled you, you ruled them by the word you dared to speak. Here's the turning point that secures every decree and seals every harvest. Fearlessness must become a habit. For it is not enough to rise in courage for one day, to deny fear in one moment, to speak faith when the atmosphere is calm. If your fearlessness is occasional, your results will be occasional. If your courage is temporary, your harvest will be temporary. The decree must be steady, and so must your fearlessness. It must be trained into you until it is the rhythm of your being, until it is your first response in every storm, until it is as natural to you as breath. Only then can the playbook run without interruption. Only then can your wealth flow without delay. Think of how habits are formed. At first, it is effort. The tongue slips, the mind wanders, the heart trembles. You catch yourself fearing, you catch yourself complaining, you catch yourself bowing to appearances. But each time you deny, each time you affirm, each time you replace fear with faith, you cut a new groove in the subconscious. And as the groove deepens, the effort lessens. Soon, what was once labor becomes instinct. Fear rises, but before it speaks, you answer, "Peace, be still." Doubt whispers, but before it gains ground, you decree, "My supply is here now." Lack mocks, but before it shakes you, you laugh and say, "God is my unfailing source." This is the habit of fearlessness, when faith becomes the automatic rhythm of your soul. Remember Christ in the storm. The disciples trembled, certain they would perish, but he slept in peace. Why? Because fearlessness was his habit. When they woke him, he did not rise in panic, he rose in command. He did not analyze the storm, he did not argue with the wind, he simply spoke, "Peace, be still," and the sea obeyed. That was no sudden courage, no temporary boldness, that was the habit of fearlessness, the rhythm of command, and you are called to the same rhythm. For if you can say, "Peace, be still," to the storm within you, the storms outside cannot shake you. I recall the story of a woman who lived in constant dread, every morning expecting disaster. She decreed at times, but her decrees were drowned by her habit of fear. I told her, "You must train yourself to deny fear at once, to affirm truth at once, until it becomes your second nature." She obeyed. Each morning, before her thoughts could wander, she spoke, "Fear, you are nothing. I walk in faith, I cannot fail." Each night, before she slept, she gave thanks for protection and supply. And day by day, her fear lessened, her faith strengthened, her courage deepened. Soon, when challenges arose, her first response was no longer panic but decree. The habit had formed, and with it came steady demonstrations of supply. So I say to you, make fearlessness your daily practice. Do not wait for crisis to train your tongue. Begin each day with denials, continue each day with affirmations, end each day with thanksgiving. Say aloud, "I am fearless, I am faithful, I am secure in spirit." Repeat it until the groove is deep, until the record plays without effort, until courage is your default. For the world will test you, appearances will mock you, storms will rise, but if your habit is fearlessness, none of these can move you. Your decree will stand, your playbook will work, your harvest will come, because nothing remains to cancel it. Therefore, commit to the rhythm. Deny fear daily, affirm truth daily, give thanks daily, walk in love daily, make it habit, make it atmosphere, make it identity. And soon you will find that fear no longer lingers at your door, doubt no longer whispers in your ear, panic no longer shakes your soul. You will stand as one who cannot be moved, and in that steadiness, the law will answer swiftly, abundantly, unfailingly. For spirit always moves fastest where fear has no foothold, and a fearless tongue is a prosperous tongue. Now, I must tell you of the greatest secret of speed, the very key that collapses delay and brings supply rushing into form before the clock of the world can even count the hours. It is boldness. For boldness is faith expressed, and faith expressed is irresistible. The timid decree, the half-hearted command, the whisper of doubt carries little weight. But the bold decree, spoken without hesitation, spoken as law, spoken as though the thing were already in your hand, that decree moves mountains, opens doors, dissolves obstacles, and speeds the harvest into being. Spirit does not answer timidity, spirit answers boldness. Spirit does not reward hesitation, spirit rewards command. For hesitation is doubt dressed in courtesy, and doubt always delays. But boldness is faith clothed in authority, and faith always quickens. Consider how hesitation works. You decree in the morning, but with a trembling voice, as though you are asking permission, as though spirit might say no. You speak, but you wait with nervous eyes, scanning the world for signs, and when none appear at once, you mutter, "Perhaps it will not come." Do you not see? That is not decree, that is begging, that is doubt, that is fear. And the law being exact delays, for it must answer the faith you actually hold, not the words you only mouth. But when you decree boldly, when you say with authority, "God is my unfailing supply," large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways, and then rise from your seat as though it were already done, act as though it were already in motion, Give thanks as though it were already in hand, then the law rushes to obey. The bold decree leaves no room for delay, for the universe must match the energy of your command. I recall the story of a woman who had only $8 to her name. Fear whispered that it was not enough, that she must hoard it, that she must shrink her life until the money was gone. But she refused. She followed a hunch, a bold move, one that looked foolish to her friends. She decreed supply, acted in faith, and soon that small beginning multiplied into abundance. What made the difference? Boldness. She did not cower, she did not hoard, she did not wait in fear. She spoke, she acted, she trusted, she dared, and Spirit answered speedily. The timid soul waits years for what the bold soul receives in months, even days, for timidity delays, but boldness quickens. Think also of Peter stepping out of the boat. As long as he looked to Christ in boldness, he walked on water. The moment he hesitated, the moment he looked to appearances, he sank. So it is with you. As long as your decree is bold, you walk above lack, you stride above fear, you command your good. But when you hesitate, you sink into delay, into doubt, into the sluggish rhythm of the world. The difference is not in spirit, for spirit is always ready. The difference is in your boldness, for spirit moves at the speed of faith. So let me ask you, how are you speaking your decree? With a whisper, with apology, with doubt, or with authority, with certainty, with command? For the speed of your demonstration is measured not by the size of your need, but by the strength of your decree. Speak boldly, act boldly, give boldly, live boldly. Refuse hesitation, refuse timidity, refuse apology. Rise each morning and declare, my supply is here now, my wealth is in motion now, my freedom is unfolding now, and hold it with such certainty that the world cannot shake you. This is the secret of speed: boldness in word, boldness in thought, boldness in act. And when you live in this rhythm, you will find that 9 months is not a sentence but a guarantee, and often, your good will come even sooner, for Spirit delights to answer the fearless. Here is a law that many miss, and in missing it, they cut off the very supply they once commanded. For they decree boldly, they speak their wealth into form, they see money come rushing into their lives, and then, gripped by fear, they clutch it, they hoard it, they bury it as though it might slip away if ever it moved. And the moment they hoard, the stream dries, the channel closes, the abundance falters. Why? Because hoarding is fear, and fear is inverted faith, and fear always delays, always diminishes, always destroys. Prosperity is not meant to be clutched like a prisoner. Prosperity is a river, a current, a flow. To cut it off is to deny its nature. To hoard is to confess distrust. And Spirit, being exact, answers the distrust as surely as it answers the decree. The river shrinks until only a trickle remains, not because Spirit has withdrawn, but because you have blocked the channel with your fear. Do you not see the folly of hoarding? Imagine a farmer who gathers his harvest and, fearing next season, locks every grain in a storehouse, refusing to sow, refusing to trade, refusing to share. Soon his seed rots, his fields grow barren, his barns stink of decay. What was meant for life becomes death. What was meant for circulation becomes stagnation. So it is with money. When it moves, it multiplies. When it circulates, it returns. When it flows, it grows. But when it is hoarded, it shrinks, it spoils, it disappears. The law is exact. Fearful holding dries the stream. Fearless giving multiplies it. For giving is faith in action, and faith is always rewarded. I recall the story of a woman who felt led to give, though her own purse seemed thin. She resisted at first, saying, I must save, I must guard, I must keep what little I have. But a hunch pressed upon her heart, the quiet voice of intuition urged her to trust. She gave fearfully at first, but then with joy. And soon the amount she had given returned to her, not equal but multiplied, proof that circulation brings increase. She learned that giving is not loss, but the opening of the hand so that more may be placed in it. She learned that prosperity is not a pond but a river, not a hoard but a flow. And from that day she never feared to let money move, for she had proven that what she released returned in greater measure. So I tell you, if you wish to live in steady prosperity, do not hoard flow. When money comes, let it circulate. Pay gladly, give gladly, release gladly. Do not say, if I give, I will have less. Say, as I give, I prove my faith. As I release, I receive. As I circulate, I multiply. The world may call this foolish, but the law proves it wise. For spirit is infinite, and no gift diminishes infinity. Every act of giving is a declaration. I trust my source. My supply is secure. My river cannot run dry. And spirit answers that declaration with increase. Therefore, examine yourself. Do you clutch your money in fear, hiding it as though it might escape? Do you hoard in distrust, living as though spirit might fail you tomorrow? If so, you are cutting your own stream. Reverse it at once. Open the hand, let it flow, trust the law. For prosperity is not a stagnant pool, but a living river. And the one who flows with it shall never thirst, but the one who dams it with fear shall soon find only dust where once the water ran. Flow, not hoard, that is the law. Live in it, and your supply will never cease. Here is a truth that must be written into your heart as deeply as the decree itself, for without it you may falter at the very edge of your harvest. Many decree boldly, they speak daily, they guard their words, and yet when the hours pass without visible proof, when the channels they imagined fail to open, when the door they knocked upon remains shut, they cry out in despair, "It has failed. Spirit has not answered." But hear me clearly, spirit never fails, the law never falters, supply never vanishes. What you call delay is not denial, it is divine rearrangement. Spirit is shifting the pieces you cannot see, arranging the channels you did not know existed, preparing a path that is better than the one you demanded. If the door does not open, it is because Spirit is guiding you to the better door, the door that will not collapse beneath your feet. If the channel does not flow at once, it is because Spirit is digging a deeper river, one that will carry you longer, further, steadier. Delay is not punishment, it is mercy. Delay is not loss, it is protection. Delay is not failure, it is perfection in preparation. Consider the woman who prayed fervently for a certain man to marry her. She was convinced he was the one. She begged Spirit to give him to her. She fastened all her hopes upon him. Yet he never came. She thought Spirit had denied her, that her prayer was wasted. But when she finally released him, when she decreed instead, "I am now linked with my right mate by divine selection. What is mine cannot be withheld, what is not mine cannot satisfy." Soon another man appeared, her true mate, with whom she found joy and harmony beyond anything she had imagined. Do you see? The delay was rearrangement, lifting her from a counterfeit to the genuine, from disappointment to delight. Spirit had not denied her, it had protected her, preserved her, prepared her for the better gift. The same law holds in money. A man once decreed supply for a certain venture. He expected it by morning, and when it did not come, he nearly lost faith. But he held steady, gave thanks, and refused to cancel his decree. And a short time later, the money appeared from a channel far greater, one that not only provided for the venture but opened opportunities he had never dreamed. Had the first channel delivered, he would have missed the abundance waiting behind the second. The delay was not denial, it was rearrangement, lifting him from the small to the great, from the temporary to the permanent. So I ask you, can you trust Spirit's clock more than your own? Can you give thanks while the purse is still empty, while the bill is still unpaid, while the channel still looks closed? Can you say with confidence, "My supply is moving now, under grace, in perfect ways"? If not through this door, then through another. If not by this hand, then by a better one. What is mine cannot be lost, what is mine cannot be late, what is mine cannot be withheld. For this is faith, not only to decree, but to trust the timing, not only to speak, but to wait with thanksgiving, not only to call, but to believe that the answer is already on the way, though unseen. Think of the farmer. He sows in spring, and he does not cry out in despair when no harvest appears in a week. He trusts the season, he trusts the process, he trusts the unseen work beneath the soil. He waters, he tends, he waits, knowing the harvest is certain in its appointed time. So must you be. Decree daily, guard your words, give thanks, and when appearances say nothing is happening, answer with confidence. Divine rearrangement is at work. My harvest is secure, my supply is certain. The delay is not denial, it is perfection in preparation. And when the time is ripe, the supply will burst forth, richer and greater than you dared to imagine. Therefore, do not stumble at delay. Rejoice in it, for it means Spirit is preparing the better way. trust, give thanks, hold steady. And soon, you will see that what you once called delay was only rearrangement, and that the gift, when it comes, will make you glad you were held back for a time. Now I will show you how to take this law from an occasional miracle into a steady stream, for the difference between sudden bursts and continuous supply lies in rhythm. One decree, spoken in faith, can open a door, can bring money swiftly, can prove the law at once. But if you leave it there, if you speak only in crisis, if you decree only when pressed, then your life will be a cycle of bursts and gaps, feasts and famines, demonstrations and delays. Spirit does not intend you to live so. Spirit intends you to walk in a steady atmosphere of abundance, where prosperity is no longer a visitor that comes and goes, but a resident that abides with you. And the way to step into this steady stream is to make decree your rhythm, morning, noon, and night, until it becomes the very heartbeat of your soul. Begin with the morning, for the morning is the planting. As soon as you rise, before you touch food, before you open the news, before you speak to anyone else, speak your decree. Say aloud, God is my unfailing supply. Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. Say it not as a question, not as a plea, but as a command. Say it rhythmically, steadily, as though each word were a hammer shaping reality. The subconscious at sunrise is soft, impressionable, like fresh clay waiting to be pressed. What you stamp upon it in the morning will harden into the shape of your day. Therefore, plant abundance first, and your day will carry abundance with it. At noon, tend the seed. Watch your words, guard your tongue, deny every fear. If doubt whispers, cancel it at once. If complaint tries to rise, erase it and replace it. If gossip knocks at your lips, refuse it. And to strengthen your decree, speak a short affirmation in the middle of the day. My supply is here now, my wealth is in motion now. My channels are open now. This keeps the soil moist, the seed alive, the atmosphere charged. Many lose their harvest because they plant in the morning but uproot by noon with idle words. Guard this moment, and you will keep the decree intact until it bears fruit. At night, close the day with thanksgiving. No matter what has or has not appeared, sit in quiet gratitude and say, I give thanks that my supply is secure. I give thanks that my decree is alive. I give thanks that spirit never fails. I rest in perfect faith. Fall asleep with thanksgiving in your heart and truth on your lips. For the subconscious works while you sleep, replaying the last record you place upon it. If you close the day in fear, you will rise in fear. But if you close the day in thanksgiving, you will rise in faith. This is the rhythm morning decree, noon watch, evening thanksgiving. Plant, tend, harvest. Repeat daily until abundance is not a surprise but a certainty. I recall the woman who called her purse a magic purse. She did not speak it once and forget it. She spoke it daily, she blessed it constantly, she made it her rhythm. This purse of mine is a magic purse, she said. It never lacks, it always fills, it overflows with wealth. And soon her purse, once nearly empty, held thousands. The secret was not chance, not luck, not even the decree itself alone. It was rhythm, the steady repetition that carved the truth into her subconscious until it became atmosphere, until it became reality. So I ask you, what rhythm governs your life now? Is it the rhythm of worry, the constant refrain of never enough, repeated daily until lack becomes your atmosphere? Or will you change the rhythm, set a new song, decree abundance in the morning, guard it at noon, give thanks at night, until prosperity becomes your very climate? For rhythm is inevitable, you already live in one. The question is, will you let fear and complaint write the melody, or will you seize your tongue and write the song of abundance? Therefore, let the decree be your daily rhythm. Do not wait for crisis to command, command always. Do not wait for need to decree, decree always. Do not wait for proof to give thanks always. For prosperity is not an event but a way of being, not a burst but a stream, and when your decree becomes rhythm, your life becomes abundance without end. Now we come to the highest revelation of this playbook. For all that we have spoken thus far, command, substitution, protection, fearlessness, rhythm, are but steps toward this greater truth. Prosperity is not something you do, it is something you are. Until wealth becomes your identity, until abundance becomes your nature, You will always feel as though you are reaching, stretching, grasping for something outside yourself. You will treat prosperity as an event, a demonstration, a miracle that comes and goes. But Spirit does not want you to live from miracle to miracle. Spirit desires that prosperity be your atmosphere, your normal, your permanent condition. You are not to live as a beggar thrilled by sudden gifts. You are to live as an heir, whose wealth is constant, unshaken, undeniable. And this shift happens the moment you stop merely speaking prosperity and start being prosperity. Most people fail here because they separate themselves from the good they seek. They say, I am poor, but I am calling for riches. They say, I am sick, but I am begging for health. They say, I am unloved, but I am praying for love. Do you see the error? They have already identified with lack, and lack will cling to them as long as they name it their own. But the moment you say, I am rich now, I am health now, I am love now, I am supply now, the shift begins. For the law answers identity more than petition. The subconscious records what you say you are, not what you hope to be. If you call yourself poor, you decree poverty. If you call yourself free, you decree freedom. And soon the world rearranges itself to match the identity you have claimed. I recall the case of those who spoke the decree. I have a perfect work in a perfect way. I give perfect service for perfect pay. Some only repeated it as words, hoping for a job to appear. And indeed, jobs came, wages rose, opportunities opened, but others made it identity. They said, this is not only my decree, this is who I am. I am perfect work, I am perfect service, I am perfect pay. And for them, the decree bore deeper fruit. They not only found jobs, they found their true calling. They not only received wages, they stepped into their life's expression. The decree moved from lips to heart, from speech to self, from act to identity. And in that moment, they no longer lived as workers seeking pay, but as heirs expressing wealth. Think also of health. A woman once bound by disease began to affirm, I am whole, I am radiant, I am strong. At first it seemed laughable, for her body was weak, her skin afflicted. But she persisted, and soon her identity shifted. She no longer called herself sick, she no longer answered to weakness, she no longer introduced herself as victim. She lived as though she were whole, and the body obeyed the command of identity. Her healing came, not as magic but as law, for the subconscious had taken hold of the new self she declared, and the body, the world, the circumstances had no choice but to follow. So let me ask you, who are you calling yourself today? Do you rise and say, I am tired, I am broke, I am stuck, I am unlucky? Then no decree will save you until you erase that identity. Or do you rise and say, I am prosperous, I am free, I am fearless, I am abundance in expression? Then even if appearances mock you, the law must obey, and the world must bow to the self you have declared. For prosperity is not merely an act of command, it is a state of being. And once you live it, you no longer chase wealth, you radiate it, you embody it, you attract it, as surely as the sun attracts the dawn. Therefore, cease to treat prosperity as something you reach for. Claim it as who you are. Let the decree move from your lips into your bones, from your mind into your spirit. Speak until you know, and know until you are. For when you become wealth, when you become abundance, when you become freedom, nothing can take it from you, and no world system can bind you again. This is the summit of the playbook, the moment you stop commanding wealth as an act, and start living wealth as your identity. And from this place, the stream never dries, the supply never ceases, the abundance never fades, for you are one with it and it is one with you. Now we come to the final lesson of this playbook, the truth that crowns everything we have spoken, for it is not enough to have occasional demonstrations, sudden bursts of supply that thrill you for a moment and then leave you once more staring at emptiness. No. You are not called to live from miracle to miracle, from feast to famine, from one desperate decree to another. You are called to live in a continuous stream, a river that never runs dry, a flow that surrounds you day by day, hour by hour, until prosperity is not an occasional visitor but a constant companion. And until you understand this shift, you will always live in cycles of lack and relief, of hunger and satisfaction, of fear and faith. But when you grasp it, when you step into the flow, You will know abundance as steady as breath, as faithful as sunrise, as certain as the tide. The difference between bursts and streams is rhythm. A burst comes from crisis, from sudden decree, from last-minute faith. It proves the law, yes, but it does not sustain you. A stream comes from habit, from daily decree, from steady thanksgiving. It makes prosperity permanent. The burst is born of panic, the stream is born of poise. The burst is a rescue, the stream is a lifestyle. And Spirit does not want you to live, always waiting for rescue, always crying for help at the last hour. Spirit desires you to live in flow, in trust, in steady abundance. Think of the Israelites in the wilderness. Each morning manna fell, enough for the day, fresh and faithful. They were told not to hoard, not to store, not to fear the morrow, for each morning new supply would come. But some, in fear, tried to hoard, and what they kept spoiled. Do you see? Hoarding breaks the flow, fear interrupts the rhythm. But those who trusted, those who gathered daily, those who lived in the rhythm of manna were fed without fail. That manna is a picture of Spirit's supply, daily, constant, never failing. You were not meant to hoard, you were meant to flow. You were not meant to survive on sudden bursts, you were meant to live in steady rhythm. I recall many who proved bursts but never streams. They would decree in crisis, the money would come, the debt would be paid, the disaster avoided. They rejoiced, but soon they fell back into silence, into complaint, into fear. And the stream dried, until the next crisis forced them to decree again. Their lives became cycles of struggle and rescue, proof and doubt, joy and fear. But I have also known those who chose the rhythm of decree, who made prosperity their identity, who gave thanks in plenty as well as in need. For them, the bursts became a river. Supply came not only in crisis but in constancy, not only in emergencies but in every day. They lived in the flow, and abundance never failed them. So I ask you, will you be content with bursts, or will you claim the stream? Will you live as one always waiting for rescue, or as one walking in steady supply? For the law will give you whichever you choose. If you decree only in panic, you will have bursts in panic. If you decree daily, faithfully, fearlessly, you will have streams daily, faithfully, fearlessly. Spirit is no respecter of persons, but it is the strictest respecter of law. And the law says, what you decree steadily, steadily manifests. Therefore, step into the stream. Make decree your rhythm, thanksgiving, your atmosphere, abundance your identity. Refuse to hoard, refuse to fear, refuse to wait for crisis. Live in trust, live in flow, live in daily manna. And you will find that prosperity ceases to be a series of sudden bursts and becomes instead an unbroken river, carrying you from day to day, year to year, without interruption, without delay, without end. This is the promise of Spirit, and it is the seal of the Playbook that once you step into the stream, you will never thirst again. Now we have come to the seal of this message, and I would not leave you with fragments scattered in your mind, but with the whole law written upon your heart like fire. You have seen how the world teaches toil, how the 9 to 5 binds men and women in chains of wages, how many labor hardest yet reap the least. You have seen that work without decree is slavery, that complaint carves grooves of bondage, that fear plants harvests of lack. You have seen that the only escape is not in more hours, not in louder effort, not in clever schemes, but in the bold decree, spoken in faith, guarded in rhythm, carried for 9 months like a seed until the birth of your freedom. You have seen the core command, God is my unfailing supply. Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. You have seen the proof of this playbook in case after case, from purses once empty to purses overflowing, from debts canceled to fortunes gained, from bondage broken to freedom lived. You have seen that fear is inverted faith, that boldness is speed, that thanksgiving is seal, that rhythm is stream, that identity is the crown. So let me say it plainly. You are not to remain a slave to wages. You are not to bow to an employer as though he were your master. You are not to live in cycles of bursts and gaps, of famine and feast, of hope and despair. You are to rise now as heir, as ruler, as one who knows the law and dares to command it. You are to speak your word in the morning, guard it at noon, give thanks at night, until abundance is your air, your bread, your atmosphere. You are to plant today and reap tomorrow, to carry for 9 months and deliver in freedom, to live not from miracle to miracle, but from stream to stream, until your whole life sings with prosperity. Say it with me now, aloud, for power lies in the vibration of your tongue. God is my unfailing supply. Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. I walk out of bondage into freedom. My wealth appears now, and I rejoice in it. Speak it again, not as one begging, not as one hoping, but as one commanding. Speak it as law, speak it as truth, speak it as your identity. For each word you utter is a seed, and the field of spirit never fails to yield. And here is my challenge to you. Tomorrow morning, do not rise in complaint, do not bow to fear, do not sigh at appearances. Rise in command. Before your feet touch the floor, before your hands touch your work, decree your supply. Say it boldly, guard it fiercely, give thanks for it, joyfully, and hold it daily, for 9 months or less, until your freedom is born. Do not let timidity delay you, do not let fear cancel you, do not let appearances mock you. Speak, hold, guard, and you will see the doors open, the wages surpassed, the job released, the freedom secured. This is not theory, it is law, and the law cannot fail. But I know what some of you are asking even now. What happens after? If I step out of my 9 to 5, if I command my wealth and walk into freedom, how do I keep it? How do I move into unlimited abundance without fear of loss, without the stream drying up? And here is where the next revelation waits. For there is a hidden law that multiplies riches once you have them, a law that keeps fortune flowing endlessly, a law that opens the secret door to success. Without it, many who gain wealth lose it again. With it, those who gain wealth see it multiply without end. And I will show you this hidden law in my next message, the secret door to success. So do not stop here. Take this playbook, speak it, live it, prove it, and then come with me to the secret door, where abundance is not only gained but kept, not only kept but multiplied, not only multiplied but made eternal. For your journey has just begun, and spirit has riches beyond measure waiting for you.